good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. This is Camille Sams with Caliber Home Loans, your Zen lender, and I'm joined by no other than James Martin III, who is a financial advisor with DG Financial.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here.
And this is another episode of Optimizing Your Financial Health. And we're super excited today. This is a really big milestone for us. We taped the first portions of the podcast talking about, how to optimize your financial health. How do you get from A to Z? So we gave all of these different steps on how to do that. And then we also told you that there was a workbook to go along with it. So action steps, here is the workbook. Yay!
Yay.
So I know. So hopefully I don't lose it. Let me kind of come back in here. So in here is some really good, helpful tips for you to get to your financial freedom, to really remove the stress on there. So if you are interested in receiving this, please definitely email me. I'll have the information in the posting. Email me, we'll send this over to you. Also offer the opportunity to chat with us, a little 30-second free consultation, see what we can do to help. That's what we're here for. We're definitely here to help you and help you relieve that stress.
Absolutely.
So perfect. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about what is causing stress for people in the market right now. What's going on? So as we're filming this is the end of January 2022. And we're seeing where there is an adjustment in the stock market. We're seeing a lot of correction. We've been on some really artificial highs for a very long time in our financial markets, whether it be super low interest rates for the last couple of years with the COVID epidemic. And I don't know, James, has it been something like 4 years, 5 years? We've had a really strong stock market that, it's just been a real bullish market. People have made a lot of money. I know that on my side, I've seen clients come to me and they're able to liquidate their assets and put 20% down, and that's nothing to really laugh about when you're talking about here in Southern California. I mean, we're $900 million properties, and people are coming in with $100,000-$200,000 as their down payment, and so much of it is from liquidating stock. So now we're having a correction. And we're seeing where a lot of these stocks are tumbling. People are losing half of their net worth in stock overnight. And this isn't the first time, history repeats itself. I remember a family member who had stock in a tech company, and the tech bubble happened. And, he kicks himself every time he thinks about it, where he didn't want to take the withdrawal at the end of the year. It was around Thanksgiving. He thought about taking the money out and then decided, no, I'll just wait till the beginning of the next year. I'll roll it over into next year's taxes. And overnight, before the end of the year, he lost half of his earnings. So, that's more your wheelhouse. So talk a little bit, I wanted to really just emphasize to people, this is a good example of why it's really important to diversify your portfolio.
No doubt. Diversification is very important. And one of the things that I always stress to my clients, and when I'm presenting in situations like this, is you have a couple of key things. You have obviously the retirement component, that money that you want in a very secure situation because you can't afford to lose that money. It has to be something in something that's very conservative, yet still provides a nice solid return. So you have that money that we're very, very particular about that. But then there's the other portion, the diversification in doing different types of investments. And my message that I always have is don't put your money someplace that you can't afford to lose it. In other words, yes, you can make some nice gains, but as we were just talking about in the introduction, you're definitely going to be exposed to some losses as well. So make sure it's money you can afford to lose, and it's not something that's going to cause you to cause injury to yourself based on the results. But again, knowing that sure it's gonna come back. So making sure that you have a very firm understanding of your risk tolerance, and making sure you sit down with your financial professional and mapping out a game plan that does just that. Max understands your risk tolerance, and then also breaking down into the different categories of retirement, money that I could kind of play with that's disposable, discretionary, and then making sure that you have that solid game plan, and sticking to it, writing it out, and knowing where you might need to make adjustments. Again, when, as Camille was saying, when the market times that we're in right now, experiencing corrections, and what are the opportunities as a result of this correction that's taking place. So making sure that as we've always stressed, having that game plan and sticking to it, but allowing for course corrections as needed is very critical. And then last but not least, can't stress enough, that retirement component, that's something that's not to play with. I've sat down with too many people, Camille, that had to ask them about, okay, what's in your 401k balance? What's your IRA balance? James, yeah, we had to tap into it because of this, because of that. And I know life happens. So we want to make sure, obviously none of us are getting any younger. So we want to make sure that money is in a situation that it's, again, very conservative, but still provides a rate of return. I like to really preach and promote using an index as opposed to the market. So you have that 0% floor protecting your principal, and then you're able to still have upside, getting 13, 14% on the top side. So making sure that you get with your financial professional. I'm available. As Camille said, we can do those free 30-minute consultations. We're here to help. But yeah, that's just a little bit of my thoughts in regards to what's going on currently.
Yeah, and I think you brought up two really good points. One is risk tolerance, and the other is taking advantage of opportunities. Mm-hmm. So the risk tolerance, that's the same thing. And that also speaks to what I deal with on my part as well. Understanding your client, understanding not only for our perspective, your client, what their risk tolerance should be, but if you are the consumer, if you're the person who is investing, understanding that if you are nearing retirement age, you shouldn't go into something that is riskier. Yeah. And the same thing comes, in terms of how that relates to a mortgage. We tend to sometimes we'll look at a 15-year mortgage on somebody who's facing retirement just because we want to help them pay it off sooner. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to put them in an adjustable rate mortgage because they're going to be facing a fixed income soon. And we want to make sure that they are at a point where they can manage that payment. Yeah. So that's really important, is definitely understanding your risk tolerance as it relates to your circumstances. Mm-hmm. Are you in your 20s? You've got a higher risk tolerance. If you are in 40s or 50s, you've got, kids. I mean, we're all having children in college, and we're mm-hmm. later than what we were when our parents had children. Don't want to talk about anybody's age, but you find more, I think this generation, our generation, more than before, we're in that sandwich generation. So we have parents who are aging that we're looking at retirement or senior care for them, as well as we have kids that are going to be going to college. And so you're caught in the middle between who you're paying for. And so that also has a factor to take into consideration for your risk tolerance. Mm-hmm. And then taking advantage of opportunities. I'll never forget, Warren Buffett, right? Like the market guru mm-hmm. says, hey, when there's when there's a down, there's opportunity. The stocks are low, now it's a time to get in. I know when we had this crash back at the beginning of COVID, I bought airline stocks, I bought casino stocks, there were things that I jumped in to take advantage of. Yep. Exactly. And it bounced back, and, I made some money off of that. So understanding, even though there are other people that are really stressed out right now because they're lost a lot of money, it could be an opportunity for others to look at and say, okay, what are the markets that you have some confidence are going to rebound on this?
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And one other thing
Perfect.
that you mentioned in
Sure.
what you were sharing is a fixed income for people that are
Hmm.
getting closer and closer to being in that fixed income, and how important it is to start thinking about that fixed income now. And what I mean by that is that instead of being on a fixed income, be on an income that's fixed. Be on an income that's properly prepared, properly structured, so you tailor make that so it's going to be something that you know is going to be solid, a solid foundation laid primarily. So when you get out there to distribution, you're not being beat up by the market. You're not being beat up by taxes, things that you have no control over. And again, that's what comes in. Can't emphasize enough to taking advantage of an index as opposed to using the market specifically as it pertains to retirement. Kudos to you for taking advantage of the beginning when the prices were low in the beginning of the pandemic stages, when there were some great deals to be had. And that's what we have to do. We have to be wise. We have to look at the glass as half full instead of half empty, and take advantage when opportunities provide themselves.
Absolutely, 100%. And, all of this, as we talk about financial health, it's not just looking at your portfolio, making sure that you're diversified, making sure you have a good mix of, of investments, real estate, and other opportunities that you could put into your portfolio. But how is this impacting you? And
Right.
so we know that people that become obsessed with day trading, people who are constantly watching the market to see what's going on, that adds stress.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of growing your money. That's the whole name of the game, right? You
Mhm.
want to make sure that you're taking advantage of those opportunities that are out there. But when we have moments like this, you have to breathe, and say,
Mhm.
okay, it's when we were mentioning it earlier, I was thinking about gambling and playing, going to Vegas and playing the
Mhm.
slots. The house always wins is
Right.
the main saying here. But I think it's the same kind of philosophy. You have to know when to walk away.
Yes.
You have to know when, okay, I started with $200
Mhm.
and I walked in. I'm now making, I've doubled my money. Where's
Mhm.
my cutoff point? Now
Right.
the rest of it is, now I'm playing with the house's money.
Yep.
And as long as you don't lose your initial investment, it's
Mhm.
great that that you made, maybe out of that 200, you end up $5,000.
Mhm. Mhm.
But as long as now you understand you're playing with the house's money, you
Mhm.
haven't lost your $200. So at the end
Right.
of the day, you have to keep that in mind. Even though you may have made 5,000
Mhm.
and you may have lost two, or maybe you're down to 2,500, or you're down to 2,000, maybe you're down to 1,000,
Mhm.
but you still came out ahead
Absolutely.
$800 because you walked in the door with 200.
Yes.
And so I understand that's easier said than done. There's a lot, I'm
Yes.
sure there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, that's great. I was planning on doing something with that money, but you got to find some kind of a way to keep your head sane right now. Cause I know there's a lot of folks that are just, you know,
Yeah.
in some sorrow. So anyway, don't forget, reach out to us. Let us know if you want the financial health booklet. Really would love to be able to assist everybody. Um, let us know if you have any follow-up questions, you need some help on something. We're always here to help, and hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thanks for your time. Always a pleasure.
All right, have a good one.